Welcome to FightinGators.com. I'm Allison Banco here with Cody Jones at McKethan Stadium. Today, Florida baseball took off for Bloomington, Indiana to start regional play. Cody, a week ago, did you even think this team was going to get a regional bid?
I think it was kind of a surprise to people that they did get in. You look at the record, it was 29-28. They closed really slow down the stretch, losing series to Auburn and Georgia, which are now both trying to find a new head coach. I think that was what kind of hurt their resume. But when you go back and you look at really the entire season, you take that into account, I think that's what helped them out. Obviously, the record wasn't pretty. The strength of schedule was the big thing, though. It was number one in the country, according to all the NCAA evaluations. That was certainly the biggest thing for them, and especially the way the NCAA has really harped in the past couple of years, wanting teams to challenge themselves out of conference, and this would have been the year that Florida maybe could have avoided that. With a young team, they could have just maybe leaned on the SEC schedule to provide that strength of schedule for them, but they still went out and challenged themselves by playing Indiana, Miami, and then Florida State as well during the midweek. So it was a really challenging schedule for them. I think that's the big reason why Florida got in. The committee, for as much as they've harped on, I think would have looked pretty bad if they wouldn't have rewarded Florida for doing that this year.
Cody, as we mentioned before, Florida made the Bloomington Regional. Looking at the other teams, what do you think Florida's chances are moving into the Super Regionals?
Well, obviously Indiana, I think, is the favorite here. Florida saw them earlier in the year. They took 2 out of 3 here at McKethan Stadium. It's a really good team. There's kind of some negative thoughts about these northern schools, but I think this Indiana team is one of the better northern hosts in the past couple of years. So they've obviously got a lot of depth at the plate. They're a very offensive club as well. That's what's kind of interesting, I think, about this whole regional. As you look at Austin Peay and Indiana, both clubs that really depend on their offense, and Florida kind of depends on pitching and defense. So I think that'll be an interesting contrast to see how that plays out. But I think it's kind of interesting to see because you don't really see teams that have played during the regular season be in the same regional. The NCAA committee tries to usually stay away from something like that, but this obviously worked out, and there's some familiarity there. Obviously, it goes both ways, though. I think one way it could be interesting, though, is if Florida throws Bobby Pointer in Game 2, he wouldn't really factor on this team early in the season when Indiana was here, so they haven't seen him, whereas Florida's probably going to see, or probably already has seen, the guy that Indiana will throw. So there's a lot of different ways this thing can work out. I think Indiana still probably is the favorite, but I don't think it'd be too big of a surprise if Florida or Austin Peay came out of this weekend.
Like you said, Florida is familiar with Indiana, but a team they haven't seen this year is Austin Peay, who they'll play on Friday at 1 p.m. Cody, what do you know about this Austin Peay team?
It's a lot of offense. That's kind of what this team's built around. They've got 2 guys that have combined for 27 home runs, and Florida as a team has 27 home runs. 7 guys with a 400 on-base percentage or higher. Really, no matter which way you look at it, this team is all about its offense, and they put up a lot of big numbers. They're riding a 15-game winning streak, which is actually the longest in the country coming into this weekend. So I think there's a lot of interesting ways to look at this team, but it all comes down to what they're going to do at the plate. So Florida's going to try and counter that with Jonathan Crawford. He's going to be the best arm that Austin Peay has seen so far this year. If he does what he's been doing this past couple outings, I think Florida likes his chances a lot. But again, you don't really know. That's kind of been the way it's been with Crawford all year. You don't know what kind of outing you're going to get. So Austin Peay is going to throw a soft-tossing left-hander. That's kind of been the way you beat Florida this year. You control the running game a little bit, and then just throw your upper 80s and your off-speed stuff up there to keep Florida off balance. So we'll see which way this thing goes. I think that's what it comes down to, though, is Jonathan Crawford. If he can do what he's been doing, Florida likes his chances a lot.
We'll see how it plays out on Friday. In the meantime, keep it locked on FightinGators.com.